Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 225.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right. How you guys doing out there? This week, we are going to do a Q&A episode. Many of you know, maybe you don't, but now you will. We have a membership, the Cashflow Creators. It's the Cashflow Core membership is what we call it. And I go to the studio. I give opportunities for people who are in the middle of their real estate transactions to ask me their questions so that we can hopefully move those transactions to a close. I mean, we've had people buy pizza shops, people buy apartment buildings, all kinds of interesting things happen, negotiating, wholesaling, all of the things that come up when it comes down to actually getting a real estate transaction done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an inside look, or listen, if you will, at this particular episode. And again, there's nothing overly special about this Q&A as opposed to all the other Q&As. I just want you to know that, I'm doing the best that we're doing the best that we can to get all of your questions answered. And hopefully some of these are questions that you had and we can get yours answered right now.
Hi, Jay Massey here with the CashFlowDiary.com, and in this video, I'm going to explain how to retire by age 50 in 2 minutes or less. Now, when it comes to retiring at all, you've got to think about where you are at the stage of life. At the age of 50, you have different resources typically at your disposal. When it comes to real estate investing specifically, it's one of my favorite ways to talk about building passive income and using assets is you got to have knowledge, time, money, and credit in some form of fashion. But by the time you've reached the age of 50, you've got a ton of wisdom and you usually have a little bit of assets. And here's the cool thing. It doesn't take a ton of assets to actually put yourself in a position to retire. So let me give you an example of what I mean. You've got to understand the concept of piles versus a stream. What does that mean? Most of us are thinking that, hey, I've got to save a big pile of cash in order to put myself in a position to retire, even at age 50. Well, what if you take that same retirement plan? What if you take those existing assets that you currently have, instead of thinking that you have to spend them down, how about find a way to make them last a very long time? Here's what I mean. $100,000 is a simple number. But $100,000, when you spend it down, might last you maybe 3, if not 4 years, depending on the standard of living. But instead of doing that, what if you knew how to take that same $100,000 and you supplement your income for $10,000 a year every year without spending this down and keeping it intact? You can learn to develop a stream of income of $10,000 a year. Well, that simply means now you only have to do that 3, 4, or 5 times and you're ready to go. And you can do that by age 50 and retire. Thanks for watching. To learn more information about how to raise capital so that you can buy all those assets that you need to retire, click right here. It's going to take you to a page where I'm going to send you a free guide as well as a video series that's going to walk you through the beginning steps and, most importantly, the number one tool that you could use to make that happen. If you're on a mobile device, click the link below in the comments. It's the very, very first one. And also, make sure you hit subscribe. If you like the information that you've heard in this particular video, by all means, hit like, and if you've got some questions, comment below. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time. Hey guys, gals, people of all ages, glad that you are here. Here's what we're going to do today. We've got very few questions that were submitted ahead of time, which is completely fine. That's just code for whatever happened this week. You guys helped each other out, and you didn't have a whole lot of questions left over for me, but that's fine. For those of you that are watching live, go ahead and type your questions in the box. I see one there now. I see a number of you still logging on, I guess, and getting here, which is great. Do me a favor. Type the questions in the box. All right. And somebody, one of you, I don't care who, post in the Facebook group. Let people know, hey, come watch live if you've got a question, because I'm sitting here to answer them as well. I'm sitting here to answer them as well. Just as a reminder for any of you who might be in a trial, the new episodes of the podcast are released every Monday and Thursday, CashFlowDiaryPodcast.com. You'll be able to pick those up, download them, listen to them. And if you haven't heard my voice enough, you'll get to hear it even more. So I see Sep here has a question. Jay, my broker in San Antonio is selling his 140 unit and is concerned with capital gains since he is not doing a 1031. Okay. He is open to carrying a second position. Which Q3 strategy would save him the most in taxes? Principal only, interest only, or reverse amortization? Is he able to 1031 the funds after a 3-year balloon period? Interesting. Okay. Lots of questions on this one, Sep. First, so when you say my broker in San Antonio, I'm assuming this means this is a guy who you've done business with, which is fine. Regarding the selling the 140 unit, concerned with capital gains makes me wonder how long he has had it, and etc. So how much gain is he actually concerned about deferring? So that's the other question. He's open to carrying a second. That's good. He should be open to carrying a first. And I'm getting to that in a second. Which Q3 strategy would save him the most in taxes? Well, what's going to save him the most in taxes is it's a combination of a couple of things. And remember, guys, I am not your tax advisor, but here's how you can minimize taxes in his situation. Interest received is going to be taxable. So if he receives no interest, then it's obviously not taxable. The only other place for gain is then for the amount he sells it for. So the amount of equity. So for example, let me show you. Oh, there it is. So the amount of equity gain. So let's just say he paid for and has spent. Now, this is going to get a little technical in terms of terms. So between cost basis, and just understanding how much basis he has in a property. So it could be everything that he paid to purchase the property, right? Plus any improvements that he's made, along the way. So those are capital improvements. And there are certain expenses. So he probably has some operational, if he has any operational losses to account for, a lot of this stuff is going to get computed or imputed into the book value, or how much money he has actually in there. And this is also, you still have to include the loan, right? So he could have a lot of money in there. If he sells it to you for the same, so if he sells it for what his book value equals your sales price, there's no gain. Right? So, and here's the interesting thing, is that he could actually, in theory, sell it for more than he bought it for, more than what's on title, and still there be no gain. Okay, so from a tax perspective, everything he put in, all he did was get that back. Does that make sense? So when you say what strategy is going to save him the most in taxes, he's going to sell it for you. He's going to sell it to you for the exact dollar amount that he has in, and then he's going to have no interest. So it's going to be a principal only loan. So that's what it's going to be. If his biggest concern is taxes, that's how you're going to do it. And then when you're asking the 1031 on a 3-year balloon, I don't even understand the process. Why would, well, one, if taxes are his concern, what's happening in 3 years that's suddenly going to lower his tax bracket enough to be able to absorb this gain or defer it in some way? So there's probably absolutely no need for a 3-year balloon. I hope you're not the one who said it, offered it to him. I hope he just brought it up because he brought it up. And I hope you went to find out why he said that, because there's a reason if he did. And if you're the one who said it, then you should slap your hand or something, because don't do that. Is he able to 1031 the funds later? Now, I don't know the limitations on a reverse exchange. I just don't know. The answer is, that's the answer, is a 1031 qualified intermediary will be able to answer that better than I will, so that you can find that out. But that is a possibility. What are the limitations in terms of identification, etc.? So you've already sold the property. Now that the property is sold, you still want to 1031 the money. That's basically what you're asking. And I don't know if there are a statute of limitations, and if so, what that is for a reverse exchange. So you can find that out. It's probably even something you could Google if you really, really wanted to. All right, Sep. Jay, do you think we're entering another recession? Do you think the Fed will raise interest rates? Wow. Great question, Sep. All right. So Sep's asking, side note, Drew, this is about to be a good Facebook video. Oh, God. I'm just like, boom. Okay. So Seb, you're asking me, do I think we're entering another recession? Do you think the Fed will raise interest rates? Those are two very hyper-loaded questions. First and foremost, to say that we're entering another recession would say that I believe we left the last one. So that's the first question. I don't believe we left the last one. Okay. So how things are reported can be manipulated. Just ask anybody who does stats in any way, shape, or form. I could say, and with the words that I choose, I can take the same number and make it sound great or bad. You know what? 30% of people just lost their job at Motorola. Oh my God. 30%? That sounds horrible. Or the converse of that is 70% of people will be hired on and retained for another 5 years. Wow. Good job, Motorola. It's the same thing. Same number of people got fired, but it's statistics. So the reason this is important is because this happens all the time when we're talking about, recession. So look at here. Here's a site. I don't know if you guys care about shadow stats at all, but it's something that you might want to begin to just familiarize yourself with. Okay? Because the reported numbers, be that unemployment, be that GDP, be that the amount of money in the system, all of those things, and definitely inflation, are, I will say, at least underreported, if not grossly misrepresented. All right. That's just me. So it's difficult to dig yourself out of a recession when you have a currency that is in consistent decline simply because of it's losing its purchasing power every 15 seconds or so. I mean, you don't really have to dig that far to find out the value. So, purchasing power. I'm going to see if I can find this calculator for you real quick of the dollar since 2000. All right. Let me see if this is the one I'm looking for. Okay, got it. So here's all I'm going to do is I'm going to say we're going to take the initial year is 2000. We're going to take $1 and now we're going to put in this year. So $1. All right. So what does that mean? That means what cost $1 in 2000, that wasn't that long ago, in 2014 ranges between $1.33 to $1.69. That means there's been an increase. If not everything else to say, let's just hope. Have you gotten a 30 or 60? That's at least a 30, if not a 70% raise since 15 years ago? For most people, that answer is no. That means the cable bill, the food, the electricity, the food, the energy, the schooling, education, medical bills, all of this stuff. Well, if I keep changing the relative measure, I can always make inflation look very small. People forget that it compounds, and it's not even being reported properly. This is the problem. So, what is the solution? The solution is that you've got to go out there and actually learn how to earn money faster than they can print it. Now, do I think the Fed will raise interest rates? Here's a different way of looking at that same question. Let's look at a balance sheet, okay? Let's just talk about a balance sheet in general. Over here, we're going to have assets. And over here, we're going to have liabilities. Let's hope I can spell it right. Okay. So you got balance sheet, assets, and liabilities. What does that mean? That means when I am a bond holder, so this is debt, okay? Debt, bond, when I issue a bond, there's a person who's giving me the money, and there's a person who's giving the money, and there's a person who is paying the coupon or the interest rate on that money, all right? So if I am the person who is paying the interest, just think about it, that debt is a liability over here. So for the sake of argument, we're going to put the bond over here, and we're going to say this is the government, right? So when you have a liability, so let's also, I guess we'll also look at the income statement, and I'll make a small little one over here. When you're looking at the income statement, income minus expenses, what happens is that the expenses pay for the liabilities. Okay? So, the amount of money I can borrow is directly tied to how much money costs. Interest rate being the amount that money costs. If the cost of money goes up, then my payment also goes up. So when I'm looking right here at the payment, so my payment is tied to the interest rate, right? And many people we get that. We don't want our mortgages. Why don't we want an adjustable rate mortgage when we're buying a house? Because you know that payment's going to go up later, right? So let me ask you this. If you don't want your mortgage payment to go up because you're concerned that your income won't be enough to still make the payment, why on earth would the government want to increase their payment when they have a bunch of mortgages, or in this case, bonds, on their balance sheet? If you could keep the payment low, especially when you need new money to pay for the old money, if you can keep the payment low, then great. The real challenge is that our government and most governments produce nothing. Hear me clearly. They produce nothing to actually create value, right? Now, I'm not saying there isn't a use for roads and military service and all these other things, but they don't produce something brand new. They don't create something. Entrepreneurs, you and I, we have to go create something and then offer it to the marketplace in exchange for value. They stroke a pen, expand an Excel column, more zeros appear on the wrong side of their assets, by the way. And what ends up happening, this is the net effect. This is clearly, I'm not describing the entire process between the Fed, the Treasury, and how money comes into being. The point is, at the end of the day, this payment has to come from somewhere, and there's only one form of income that the government has available to them. So you say, are they going to raise interest rates? Well, here's part of the challenge. They need to borrow money to pay today's bills. That's challenge number one. Well, if I'm going to borrow money, I want the interest rates to be low so that when I pay it back, it won't hurt as bad. Okay, so therefore keeping low interest rates is in my favor. Well, if I have a need to actually increase the interest rates so that other things come into check, well, that means my payment is also going to go up. If my payment goes up, who can I pass on that new expense to? Who do you think gets the privilege of paying the money for this expense? That's right. Anyone who's paying taxes, period. This could be sales tax. This could be at the DMV. There are many forms of these taxes and fees that have been occurring for quite some time and probably will continue to occur. So until this is solved, interest rates, they rise. That means taxes go up. The taxes probably need to be done with in and of themselves, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. The problem is the money's not being put to good and productive use. The problem is they have to borrow money to pay today's bills. The problem is in order to borrow that money, they got to keep the rates low so that they can try to keep paying it until someone says, no, we're no longer going to lend you any more money. And with interest rates being what they are, sure, they might go up, but they're not going to go up enough. They didn't go up enough, quote unquote, last time. And that's the problem. We had a broken bone, and instead of going to the doctor and actually having it set properly in a cast and being still for the 6 to 12 weeks it takes to heal, we took a shortcut pill, and now we have an arm that functions, but it's still broken and it healed improperly, and it has to be rebroke, reset, and done the correct way. Hopefully that helps. Property manager checklist. Ask Jacob, Jeffrey. He's got it. I have no idea where it is. Hopefully it's there. Sep, is there a way to structure a seller financed lease option so that I can get Q2 or give it to an investor? Seller finance lease option. No, you have to be on title for Q2 to pass in any way, one way or the other. You have to be on title, Sep. There's no way. Yes, the broker brought up the 3-year balloon. I wanted a longer term and haven't made the formal offer yet. Yeah, well, okay. So if he brought up the 3-year balloon, Sep, then he just doesn't understand what he's asking for. There's no sense to be concerned about tax unless the salient question here, the question that's important to find out is what's happening in 3 years is going to make you more able to pay this taxable liability. That's really what's happening. If he gets that balloon paid off, he's going to have to pay taxes on the money. That's the whole thing he doesn't want. And so there's no sense unless he's got a plan. Well, in 3 years, this is happening, this, and this. Okay, cool. Then you're probably going to be stuck. But if he doesn't have a plan, which most of the time he doesn't, he's just done it that way. So that's the way he knows how to do it and the way he can brag about it later, or talk, he probably has no basis. Most people don't know. It's just, you cut the ends of the bread off because that's the way you cut bread. Let's see. Michael, I was approached by a newer real estate podcast to do a 30-minute interview. Awesome. Is there anything I should know or ask before agreeing to it? Oh no, you're going to learn a lot. It's going to be awesome. But, in short, Michael, this is part of the reason why I want to get you guys, we're going to be doing the digital marketing mastermind. Should I have a plan on how to position myself in the interview or some type of agenda? So Mike, in general, what you want to be is you. Just be a person. Remember, don't suddenly transform yourself into some super high level, untouchable expert. Be a person who sells stuff. A person who sells stuff. Don't really focus on how smart you are, and for the love of God, do not try to explain the profit analysis quadrant over it's not going to work out. Do your best to appeal to as many people as possible while being specific and true to who you are.
That's going to help you more than anything. Do lots of listening and make sure that you're thinking. What helps me a lot is when I start to think about a specific person who I'm talking to. Now, I know you don't know who you're talking to, neither do I, but I make up a specific person in my head. A mom at home who's hoping that her husband can have a shot at getting out of her job, right? That when I say those words and I'm thinking like that, that helps me to talk to that person for that moment. A brother who's hoping to free his family, his other brother, so that they can together take care of their parents. All right, cool. Let me talk to you for a moment, right? So that's how I communicate with an audience, is that I start thinking about a person or a type of person who, because remember, people have a problem. Most of them aren't looking for real estate. They are hoping that real estate is a solution to a problem. What's the problem? Talk to that problem and you'll be completely fine. And as the digital marketing mastermind continues, you're going to have lots of good things. As a side note, while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to share with you guys just something. This is today's number. So I am scooting this over. Scoot. I just want to show you some things. For those of you considering the digital marketing mastermind, let me hit refresh. I'm just curious myself at the same time. I like looking at stats and stuff. So while we've been talking, just understand that some of the things that you're going to be learning will continue to happen. So this is just related to stuff that's been happening on Twitter for us today. So far, I'm going to subtract, because some of these are me. And I've been playing a lot on the website. So I can tell that we've probably sent about 120 people, to the website today. And you can see what times of the day and the hours they are. But those 120 people, I'm going to say, 10, 15, maybe only 5. Who cares? That's that 5 more people who are now into the database. Those 5 individuals are going to go through a process, and eventually some of them are going to invest with us. Some of them are going to become customers at various different levels. Some of them could be the very partner that I'm looking for, a very lender that I'm looking for a brand new deal. It doesn't matter. The point is that all of this is happening while other things are going on. And when you start doing podcasts, Mike, and adding to that, you need to have stuff like this in place so that you can actually maximize the impact and effect of being able to do that. Everything that I'm showing you right here, because there's a free way to do a lot of things, a very, very low cost way. And then there's a way to do things that actually cost some money up front. And this is one of those very, very low cost things that I'm showing you right now. So I know you meet a lot of people. I tell you all the time, 5 yeses a day keeps poverty away. What if you can get those 5 yeses before 6 a.m. without even waking up? And that's what we're talking about here, is how to put yourselves in a position to where you constantly have more leads than time. And as you continue to do that, for those of you who are going to be joining us in the digital marketing mastermind, this is just one of many, techniques that you're going to learn and understand how to execute, so that you can begin to generate leads, as I've done and as others are doing. And I want to say something to you, because you may not be thinking it, but understand this. Just like in the brick and mortar world, there was a time where the brick and mortar person laughed at the idea of needing a website. What do I need a website for? I'm telling you now, and I'm trying to be very clear with you, like I've been this entire time that I've known you. If you fail to learn these techniques that I am going to share with all of you, fail to implement them properly, you will not be around long enough to make all the mistakes and, most importantly, catch up to those that are already doing these things. There's just too much power and marketing prowess that is coalescing and forcing us, those of us who have traditionally done things with yellow letters. I'm going to beat the pants off the yellow letter person. You're going to beat the pants off all of these auctioneers. You're going to start to see this continuing to occur. And the only thing that's going to be the difference is the size of their database, and their marketing power is going to be bigger than yours. And I'm not talking about the big corporate people. I'm talking about mom and pop real estate investor
sitting next door. It will happen. I just want to protect you guys because I've been watching this go on. And there's not a whole lot of people. The real estate space is really relatively untouched from sophisticated high-level marketers. In fact, from the surveys that I've done, there's 2. And I'm not even counting me. That's 2 not counting me, right? So, and that's it. There's a lot of people trying to do it, but there are very few who are doing all of the pieces that need to be done in order to make this thing really, really sing. And that's what I'm excited about, especially as I can get to show you guys actual real results, that we've done and that you'll be able to do, and most importantly, duplicate. So I hope you've decided already to put yourself in the mastermind group, because you're going, anyway, I just get excited about that one. And when you're talking about, going on a podcast, that's great. But what happens after the podcast? What happens if 10,000 people suddenly said yes, or 10,000 people came to your website tomorrow? What happens then? And those are the things that we've got to make sure that we have on straight, guys. Susan, podcast on skip tracing still hasn't happened, and finding property owners. I don't know what you mean by finding property owners, Susan, specifically. But yeah, I'll help in any way. What was all that? Oh, okay. Got it. Kevin, are you digitally generating leads for your education business or real estate business primarily? Kevin, it's both. And the thing is, you guys, you've got to remember this. Please get this through your head. You educate to dominate. There isn't an investor. There will be no investor that you sit down with who you will not first educate in some way. And this is how all this started, because I had the same question, Kevin. I'm like, why do I want to do that? I didn't, in fact. I didn't. I watched other people do it for years. Anyway, the point is, every time I sat down, what happened is I would sit down with an investor. I'm doing what you guys now know as the triple I interview, but they were so much longer because they hadn't come to a cash flow game. They didn't know anything about investor. I didn't even know how to explain the concept of investor identity, but I was fumbling through, and it took so long to educate them on all the pieces, and the profit analysis quadrant came out in pieces. Anyway, the point is, it'd be a 2-hour conversation and their brain would be full. That's a problem. Only because that's not the correct mindset or ability. You're not able to move people forward. You must, and you will. You're thinking, and I understand the thinking. This is not, I'm just going to go to the store and pick up buyers and sellers and be done. A real estate investor, like every business owner, but more so because you're a real estate guy or gal, has to rely on their database. There is no store. I can't just go to, if I'm making pens, I can go to a plastic manufacturer to make the case. There's tons of them. Those are easy to find. Those service providers, yeah, they're there, but they're not the people that you need. You need a database that knows you, that likes you, that understands your brand if you want to build this thing. Now, if you just want to do 3 deals, ignore everything I'm saying. Please. We can still help you. All that's great. But please do not miss this point. You will do more real estate because you are focused on educating people first, not just looking for people for that next deal. There is a reason you see this transition happen for nearly every investor or real estate investor that you've learned from, is because once you get to a certain point, you can't go in your backyard and raise more capital because they all know you already and they know your investor identity, and you're looking for other things or bigger things that you want to take down, or you just choose to stay small. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I am pleading with you to not make that mistake unless you're consciously choosing to stay small. I've seen it happen a number of times. Everyone who fails to make this shift, they do a few deals, 10, 15, and then they're done. That's pretty much it. And it's usually about 10 to 15 single family houses. If they don't make that shift, they're done. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your goal, great. But if you actually want more than that, if you want to be able to do all those things faster and actually accelerate those things and make those things easier, I'm telling you, and you'll see, there's an educational hurdle because our educational system, our schooling system, doesn't address this. You don't find a bank of ready-made customers. Or just choose to work with the banks. That's fine too. And if that's working for you, then great. Just keep working with the banks, of course, until they cut you off. And then once they cut you off, then I'll show you how to actually go out there and build the rest of the business. The challenge is that you're all going to face it. It's going to happen. And I'm trying to put you in a position to be able to respond to it as opposed to react to it, because you don't want to have to react to it after you're like, oh my God, I should have did this 12 months ago, because it's not a process. You can't just flip a switch and suddenly have it work. It takes time to build it. And then once it starts working, it just doesn't stop. Hopefully that makes sense. Steve had a triple I. Why do I feel like I'm in the middle of something here? Did he paste that backwards? And afterwards went through the PAQ. Am I missing something first? No, that was his first one? Okay. Had a triple I and afterward the went through the PAQ. When I reviewed the quadrants with the prospect at the end, she stated, well, I know I said I was looking for stable cash flow and an equity stake, but now that I see this, I want Q2 and Q4. What might I have missed in my explanation of the PAQ? Her statements were very clear and confirmed these with her before I explained the PAQ. Oh, okay, that's fine. You have run into you've got a couple of things. So it's not, I don't think you did anything wrong. In fact, you explained it perfectly, so perfectly that she got it. And she's like, well, I want all of that. Well, cool. Then in order for you to have all of that, remember, ninja negotiation, here's how that works. In order for you to have all of this, I need you to be able to contribute more money. Or what a part of the knowledge and time components are you actually contributing? Because remember, if she's only money and credit, you can't get all of these things unless she's contributing enough money for your deal. And you get to determine how much money that is, Steve. That's totally up to you. And I've also, the first time I got that, I remember it well. I was in a restaurant in Long Beach on the pier, and a person said, well, that's a lot of money right there. And I want all of those things. Well, how do I get, and why can't you give me all of those things? So I remember it clearly because it was hilarious when I said it. It was just one of those moments I said, and I kid you not, I said, oh, so what you're saying is you want to be me. That's exactly what I said. And they were like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, long story short, they did not end up writing a check. The point is that was the other thing that I said to that. I remember it quite well. She also mentioned that she did not know how to value any one of the quadrants and therefore did not know how to price it. What did I miss in my explanation? Who is this person? What is she trying to price? There's nothing really to price other in that sense. So if they're getting, all you're trying to do is calculating the dollar amount of the return in that particular quadrant. What is the dollar amount that she would earn? If she's got 20% of Q2 and 15% of Q1, okay, great. Those two come up to a number. That number divided by her contribution amount is going to be her return. I'm not sure what price she meant other than that. But when someone says pricing to me, that says, when they say don't know how to price it, it sounds like you're talking to a hard money lender or someone who's done hard money lending in some way or is financial. And that's fine, which is typically what they mean is they don't know how to price a loan. And that's fine. It's just I need a little bit more understanding about who this person is. Is that it in there? No, there's more. I have a question about the PAQ quadrant 2. Is the entire building considered improvement or just the remodel cost? Thanks. Anything above the land, anything that's well, that's not even true because there's certain parts of the land that can be considered improvement. There's a lot of things, but in general, yes, the entire building is an improvement. It's land improvements. Whatever you've done more than land, is part of the thing that can be included inside your depreciation calculation. Is that it? Got it. All right. Guys, keep putting more questions in there. That was, yeah. Anyway, what was it? This is Kevin. Oh, whoa. Ryan, I have a multi-tenant industrial building under contract, and there is a cell tower on the property. However, the owner signed a 50-year lease in 1990 where nearly all of the consideration was paid up front. The lease payments are now I can't think of a reason why the cell company would want to renegotiate the lease. How would you approach the situation to derive more value for investors? Wow, a $1. Wow, Ryan. See this look on my face? This is, wow. This is why remember what I said earlier? So see, Kevin, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You will have to educate in order to dominate. And I don't care what you're selling. The reason you haven't sold more Beanie Babies is because no one is educated on the value of memorabilia or collectibles. They're not educated. And if you helped people through a process and developed an online system that taught people the value and helped them pull on their heartstrings and go, oh my gosh, I need to collect things so that my kids can remember me or something weird. Guess what? You sell a heck of a lot more Beanie Babies, but ignore me. My point is, this is my point. This is a crazy deal right here. I don't know a reason I don't know a reason. Here's what I know. What you're really asking me, Ryan, is the lease saleable? I don't know, but I'm willing to bet that it is. I'm willing to bet that it is sellable in some way, shape, or form to a mutual fund company for some dollar amount. I'm almost willing to bet because they can impute and see value where we may not be able to. All right. So, in my head, like I said, so my cell tower is around 1,300. This 1,300 is somehow worth 250. They see that value. Okay. Now I'm not saying your $1 is going to be anywhere near that, but there may be other things at play. You remember how when we're talking about a deal, right? We've talked about this before, and this is You've seen this in play. What you've just described to me is, Jay, in quadrant 4, there is absolutely no money. Got it. The question is there money here, here, and here? And if there is, the people who know that are the ones who buy it. And that's really where that question is. The cell phone towers and billboards and things that I have dealt with have all been here. So, good question. But remember, just like beauty, value is in the eye of the beholder. Okay? So hopefully that helps. Jay, can cell phone towers be added to multifamily? Yes, they can be, depending on, yes, you have to get your site inspected and approved. So yes, I don't think I've ever seen Jay look that stunned before. Yeah, it's $1. I'm like, why would you do that deal? There's a reason. I just don't know what it is. Like, I just don't know what it is. There's no reason to do that deal. Anyway, he clearly didn't have an advisor. Yeah, but what do I know? What do I know? Okay, so I still haven't gotten to these, have I? Jeffrey, did you or Jake, was that already what he asked? Oh, okay, got it. And Francois, has anyone tried getting leads from a Got it. All right, Francois, you can get leads from anywhere. Just consider their source. I've tried Barnes & Noble, and this same tactic that I'm about to share with you It works there. Drop cards. So, and again, it doesn't have to be necessarily this one, but this is the one that got me the first time I saw it. All right. They're called drop cards. You can, all it simply is, these are drop cards in this case that are designed to look like US currency. And guess what you do? You drop them anywhere and everywhere you go. Now, when you pick it up, obviously you're going to have a quick audio business card with a phone number there, right? And, call, and you're going to have that 800 number with a message. It will generate leads. It will also generate some leads that are mad at you because you trick them. But here's the cool thing. When someone gets mad, what are they going to do? They're going to throw it back on the ground, which means somebody else is going to pick that sucker up. They get a lot of reuse. Now, here's the thing. I'm guilty of going to like parking lots like Costco. I'm guilty of putting these in books. Like I remember I would go to the business or investment section. I put these in the middle of books in Barnes & Noble. And guess what? They're going to sell the book. And then when someone gets to that page, they just like, cool. Anyway, here's the other thing I'm guilty of doing. Dropping them in the parking lot, parking, and waiting to watch people react to them because it's fun. All right. All I'm saying is the first time I saw one of these, Poppy saw it. Poppy and I saw it at the same time. We almost got in an argument all the way up the escalator because we thought it was real. And then we opened it and then I'm just like, that's hot, Anyway, outside of a casino, here's how I'm going to take these. I'm going to drop them. I bet you they get picked up. I bet you they get called, but you also have to think about the psychographic of the person who's at a casino. All right. So keep that in mind. That's why I always liked Costco, because the demographic of Costco's customer is more attuned to what you and I do, than a casino. A casino, that person is typically looking to quote unquote get rich quick. The words like perseverance and hard work may not necessarily be the things that they are leaning on. They're trying to get that big score, if you will, which, as we have all learned, is a unicorn in the woods in Neverland, right? So that all of those things are there. But if you really want to have some fun at a casino, there you go, my friend. Go for it. Hey, YouTube this. Oh my God, it would be so hilarious. Anyway, I got excited. Jay, okay, yeah, you said you tried to buy a casino. What was that story? I did. It was in Colorado. And, okay, dude, you want to talk about money? I mean, like, wow, cash flow on a whole new level. Here was my challenge. My challenge was, I did not feel morally good about helping that particular customer. And that's what it came down to. Do they cash flow? You betcha. That's why they've been around for so long. I mean, I've seen financial statements of one recently. It was in Ohio. I think it was somewhere to the tune of $65 million of profit a month. A month. I mean, it's the numbers are staggering. That's what got my attention. And all I had to do was raise capital and I could have been a part of the deal. And it wasn't even a lot. Well, relatively a lot. The point is, it just came down to an issue of conscience. And I said no. What was your message that dropped on that drop card or dollar bill? Let me think. If you'd like to turn this into something real, call. It was something similar to that. Because it was me trying to acknowledge that you might be mad. Because you picked up what you thought was a $100 bill. My lucky day. And then you're like, oh, So, and that it was something to that effect. Something that acknowledged it was fake, but I did have something real on the other end. call. And then they could call a pre-recorded message. A number of those people would leave their name, phone number, email. I'd call those back. Those people came to a cash flow game. And I still had to educate those people. So, and that's the thing, Kevin, please hear me clearly, that you can market. I mean, this is why that's why so few realtors, here's why so few realtors actually earn the money. Just look at the National Association of Realtor statistics. So few of them have so much of their respective marketplaces because all the ones fighting for scraps at the bottom are looking for deals and trying to find sellers. The top ones, they're focused on the education. They're focused on holding, first-time buyer seminars or does it make sense to rent or buy? You see that all the time. That, while isn't directly marketing for a buyer or a seller, it is education. It is providing value. The real estate industry is well behind all the others. The cool thing is we get to watch and we know what to model. And I'm going to walk a whole bunch of people straight through to the front door because the competition in this space is it's just not there because so many people's level of thinking is, just show me how to get, it's all about them. How do I get a lead and how do I get a house and how do I find somebody with money? Well, how about you serve somebody first? And I'm telling you, it works so much better. Anyway, is that all? Oh, okay. Those were all there. Oh gosh, I had forgotten about the dollar drop cards. Dude, that was fun. Let me see. Is there another question? Okay, got it. We did that. Okay, that's the podcast. We got a few minutes left, guys. So gals and peoples, type your questions. And if this is you, if you're just here on your trial, welcome. Glad you're here. CashFlowDiaryPodcast.com. You can go get the podcast, obviously, listen to it. Comes in many flavors, well over 200 different episodes. And I enjoy interviewing people and talking to them and helping. Let me see. Jay, how would you generate cash flow game leads from a wealthy neighborhood? It's going to be, the demographic is not going to change. Whether the neighborhood is wealthy, by you saying the word wealthy, you are implying or trying to imply that they don't need or want more money or, more importantly, know what to do with their money. Just because someone has something, I could have an abundance of food. Like if you gave me an abundance of grain, salt, and the ingredients to cook, that's wonderful. I am rich in food, but I do not know how to cook at all. And I will still starve. Okay? I could have an abundance of all these things and I'm still probably going to find my way over to Wendy's. Actually Smash Burger. I don't know if you had a Smash Burger, but they're awesome. Anyway, I'm not going to change a doggone thing, whether it's wealthy or not. I might change the marketing message a little bit. I might change the presentation, the production value. So instead of having a flyer printed at Kinko's in the middle at 1 a.m., I might take a little bit more care into its design in order to make sure that it attracts the right person. And you've seen me talk about this before, but let me remind you. So I'm going to go to Walmart, I'm going to go to Target, and then I'm going to go to Nordstrom, right? And just looking at their website, I didn't type Nordstrom right, did I? Nordstrom.com. Okay, I got them all right. All right. So when I go to Walmart, you can tell it's emphasizing, they're still selling their stuff, but they're emphasizing something different. You can see discounts almost on everything. Save 25. The last one had a strike through the price and zip up savings. All three of the things that we've seen so far have all been about saving money. And they're advertising price and how inexpensive we are, etc. Then we go to Target and we're going to see something different. Oh, look. They've got Halloween costumes. Target has Halloween costumes. Oh, surprise. Now, are they still advertising to people who want to save some money? Yes, but not everything has a price tag on it. It looks and it feels different. It's advertising the exact same thing. Come to my store. I can solve the problem. Now, this one's not even turning. The only thing they're focused on is is Halloween right now, which, okay, is fine. It looks like they're having something special on Tuesday, but they got some towels here and some other things. The point is you can see the change of who they're trying to speak to, and it's never more obvious than when you click here. Here's the keywords I learned when I first came out to California. If it has one item in the window and there's no price tag, that store is quote unquote too expensive. That's really how that works. This is the same kind of concept, right? You can tell that it's completely different. There's nothing flashy trying to grab your attention specifically. Do you even see anything that is remotely related to a discount? All I'm saying is they're selling clothing, they're selling bags, they're selling shoes. Oh, look, they're selling clothing, they got costumes. Look, they're selling clothing, they got costumes. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's the same thing. All right. The only thing that changes is how that same thing is presented. That's really it. So you dress up your marketing piece and it's for a completely different zip code. It's the difference between saying rent to own versus lease to own, right? In some neighborhoods, it's rent to own. In others, it's lease to own. Simple. Same thing. Simple. Because I don't rent, I lease. Sounds better, right? But the point is, it's the same thing describing the same concept. So regardless of the demographic, the only thing I'm changing is the packaging, and everything else is going to be the same. What is that? Smash? Yep, smash burgers are awesome. Yes, smash burger. It's Susan. If you, I'm sorry. Yeah, smash burger is really, really good. I'm sorry that you have been deprived. It's kind of, yeah, you should move. That's move worthy, don't you think, Drew? It's a smash burger. All right. Anyway, let me see. We covered the drop cards. We got the shadow stats, code. We're still in a recession. We've got to do something about it. This sounds like a marketing plan as created by the Hulk. Yes, pretty much. Smashburger is good though. The Hulk and Smashburger should get together. That would be a good marketing plan. Oh well, someone tell Stan Lee and someone else will get credit for the idea. At the end of the day, guys, I'm enjoying hanging out with you guys. If you haven't already, CashFlowDiary.com. You can get details on the digital marketing mastermind, CashFlowDiary.com/DMMG. You can get the details on the digital marketing mastermind. You can see everything that we're going to be going through. You can see, again, we've captured some screenshots from our database. We're going to put this sucker on, I don't know, I can't really, it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be autopilot, but we're also going to add a lot of fuel to the fire. And I know many of you are building from zero, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. We're just going to get through it and make it all happen. What would the marketing funnel for that Nordstrom client still come? Would the marketing funnel for that client still come from Nordstrom? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The difference is how do they get to the meetup? So for example, so how do they get to that meetup page? So instead of dropping cards at a casino, I might actually do a drop. I still take that same drop card and put it in Nordstrom. To be honest, that same technique, but put it in Nordstrom could still work. Especially in Nordstrom, because someone thinks that, hey, $100, I can pay tax on this. Yeah, great, but not really. Oh, but you get my point. So a lot of the same techniques will still work. For example, for podcasting is a Nordstrom attractor for sure, especially because the average Apple owner, they've done the numbers, has a household income of 70 grand or more. So that helps. Anyway. The point is, getting into the marketing mastermind is going to be key for all of you. And you're either going to be whipsawed by it, and I'm trying to be gentle, but at the same time, very, very truthful to you, because you don't have a big enough database to actually have a sustainable business, and it's going to be hard, or you can make it easier. And this is the key. So hopefully it is. What is the sign-up deadline, Julio? We are starting on Monday, Julio. We are starting on Monday. So what does that mean? That means you click this button, you make a $9.97 deposit today, then you and I are going to get on the phone and talk about your payment plan. So you've got a discount. Let me see. It's $75 $74.97 normally. The deposit goes towards whatever you choose. It's $74.97 normally, so that's 3 payments of $24.97, giving you time, or 1 payment and you get a $2,500 discount at $49.97 total. Either way, just to get your spot, I would strongly suggest you reserve. Click the button because I'm going to show you the stuff that I've been doing. You guys wonder. I mean, just think. I just want you guys to think about it. Do you think any of the people? You guys are mostly the knowledge and time people. So let's just be really clear. Is there a lot of opportunity just in the knowledge and time side? The answer is yes, absolutely. But even though, and you've seen the numbers, and I will show them to you again, even though you've seen the numbers from the education and the knowledge and time and all this coaching stuff that most of you don't want to do. I got that. I'm not asking you to do that. You don't have to do that. I think a number of you are going to want to do it after a while. But even though you've seen numbers like this, okay, even though you see that, even though you see 14, almost, we're about to crack 14,000. Even though you see that, my question to you is, do you honestly think all 14,000 of those people contributed to that number? Or more importantly, where do you think I really earn more money from? Even though you're seeing those numbers, the real estate is still bigger. And that's what I'm trying to drive home to you. You don't have to stop to pick that up. That's fine. Don't. But you still have to do the same process in order to get the 100,000, the 200,000, the $500,000, the $1 million person over and over again systematically. Sure, you can luck up on them once or twice, or we can put together a system together, one that I've already proven using all the correct tools, knowing so that you can cut out the fluff and find them systematically over and over and over again. You get to choose. That's what we're talking about here. And that's why I really, really am stressing this so hard, is because this is lifeline. You can be the best fix and flipper. You can be the best rehabber. You could give a great cash flow game. But if you can't get that sucker to 50, 100, and 200 people and keep it there, if you can't grow your database and always have more capital to use, because you're going to have excess time, especially as a buy and hold person. You're going to need to make these things to go. You'll see. You'll understand. Anyway, Jay, if we are giving someone a promissory note for their funds, can we restrict them from selling or discounting it? If so, how? Yeah, sure. They can, in order to do that, it's called the first right of refusal clause, is basically what it comes down to. So before they sell it or discount it to somebody, the only thing that you have to add to that note is a first right of refusal. So you can't necessarily prevent them from selling it, but you can make it more difficult by saying that if you should sell it, before any sale can happen, they have to check with you first. And that's really what it comes down to. And if that clause is in there when the note is drawn up, then before your note gets sold to somebody else at a discount or something of that nature, they can't close on that note properly without actually resolving that issue and getting a written, I don't want to buy it, clause. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's really where we're talking about. So, hopefully that helps you, Ray. Guys, it's, I get excited about some of these things. I've been even more excited that I've been somewhat nervous, to be honest. I'm going to be very transparent with you guys for a second. I've been nervous about sharing some of these concepts of how to get in front of hundreds and thousands at a time with you guys, simply because of the amount of work that it has taken to learn it, to get it, to master it to some degree. And I'm just like, I get nervous. I'm like, will they follow through? Because if you don't follow through, man, it's like, but if you do follow through, you can begin to experience some of the craziest things on the planet, where you'll be in the middle of a quote unquote bad day and you suddenly see an email come in. And this is exactly what happened. I remember the day the email came in, and at the end of after the @ sign, the domain name was USA Basketball. When I saw that happen, I was like, oh my God. I told everybody, I was like, oh my God, we have a USA Basketball person in our database now. And then I remember when I saw high level of city officials come into the database in marketplaces where I held property. I was like, oh my God. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of these things, there's a lot of relationships that we have today that we would not have a chance at if not for stopping to learn these things. And I want the same for you. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.